Who's the most dangerous person in the gym? It's not the 250-pound giant in the corner or the BJJ black belt who seems to float across the mats. It's not even the seasoned MMA fighter with cauliflower ears and a 1,000-yard stare. The most dangerous person you'll ever face, the one opponent who can truly and permanently beat you, is your own ego. It's that little voice in your head whispering poison, the one telling you that tapping is weakness, framing every roll as a life or death battle. This opponent couldn't care less about your long-term progress or your physical health. It only cares about its own fragile, inflated sense of self. And if you let it, it will convince you to break yourself before you ever bend. Learning to beat this internal enemy is the only way you'll ever truly win in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you think of ego in martial arts, you probably picture the loud, arrogant student who celebrates every tiny victory like it's the World Championships. But the ego is way more subtle and way more dangerous than that. It's a master of disguise. It's that flash of hot frustration when a lower belt catches you. It's that stubborn refusal to try a new technique because you might look stupid doing it. It's the quiet excuse you make to yourself for going way too hard with a smaller, less experienced partner because you feel like you have something to prove. This ego is a saboteur. It completely hijacks why you started training in the first place. You didn't walk into a jiu-jitsu academy to be the undisputed champ of the Tuesday 7 p.m. open mat. You came to learn, to grow, to challenge yourself, and to become a tougher version of the person you were yesterday. The gym is supposed to be your laboratory, a sanctuary of trial and error where failure isn't just accepted, it's required for growth. When you step on the mats, you make a silent deal with every single person in the room. This deal is built on trust and mutual respect. Your partners agree to use techniques with control, giving you space to learn and react. And you agree to admit when you're beaten, to protect yourself and them, so you can both live to train another day. The ego shreds that contract. It tells you that the fleeting satisfaction of not tapping is worth more than your training partner's trust and your own body. It turns a cooperative learning space into a hostile battleground. It's like a terrible coach screaming bad advice in your ear, urging you to hold on to that armbar for just one more second, telling you that pop in your elbow is no big deal. It is a liar, and it's gambling with your potential. Think Johnny wishes he didn't listen to Tommy and the Karate Kid when he hollered, "Get him a body bag, yeah!" That fueled Johnny's ego. All playing aside, listening to that voice has a price, and you pay for it in 3 ways: physically, technically, and mentally. First up is the physical cost, and this one's the most obvious. Refusing to tap is the #1 reason for serious long-term injuries in grappling. Let's be real. The techniques in BJJ are designed to be devastatingly effective. Joint locks are made to break bones and tear ligaments. Chokes are made to cut off blood to the brain. These aren't pretend dangers. They're the fundamental mechanics of the art. Tapping is the safety switch, the pressure release valve that lets us practice these moves without actually maiming each other. When your ego tells you to tough it out, it's telling you to risk a dislocated shoulder, a torn ACL, or a trip to the ER. An injury you got because of pride doesn't make you a warrior. It makes you a liability. It takes you off the mats for weeks, months, or maybe for good. And for what? For the empty win of not giving up in a practice session nobody else will remember tomorrow. Your ego won't be there with you in the doctor's office, but the bill for its advice will be. Next, you pay the price with your technique. Your growth as a martial artist will grind to a halt. The mat is a library of information, and every roll is a chance to read a new book. But if your only goal is to win, you'll just keep reading the same page over and over. You'll lean on your A game, avoid your weak spots, and never take the risks you need to for real discovery. You'll never figure out how to escape mount if you panic and burn all your energy just to avoid getting there. You'll never develop a defense for the triangle choke if you refuse to roll with anyone who's good at them. The more you tap, the more you learn. Every time you surrender, you're getting a gift. A perfect, undeniable piece of data showing you exactly where the hole in your game is. Tapping isn't admitting defeat, it's gathering intel. The person who's terrified of tapping is doomed to repeat their mistakes, trapped forever by what they already know. Finally, there's the mental cost. The gym should be your release, a place of focus and flow. But for the person trapped by their ego, it becomes a source of anxiety and frustration. Every roll is a judgment on their self-worth. They leave the academy not feeling energized but drained and angry. Angry at the person who tapped them, but mostly angry at themselves. That's the poison of the ego. It takes this beautiful journey of self-discovery and turns it into a miserable, endless competition against everyone, including yourself. Hey, quick ego check. If you made it this far without mentally arguing with the video, congrats. You're probably not the most dangerous person in the gym. But if you were like, psh, I never do that, while clenching your jaw and flexing through your rash guard, this video is definitely for you. Either way, do yourself a favor. Tap that like button like it just sunk in a tight bow and arrow choke. Hit subscribe before your ego convinces you that YouTube BJJ advice doesn't count. And leave a comment telling me how you totally let that blue belt tap you last week. Now, back to the part where we fix your brain so your ACL doesn't explode. So we have to completely change how we think about tapping out. The tap is not a symbol of failure. It's the ultimate symbol of learning, respect, and intelligence. It's the only way to win the long game. Think about it like a game of chess. When a player sees they're in an unwinnable position, that checkmate is just 2 or 3 moves away, they don't flip the board over in a rage. They don't let their opponent take their king just to prove a point. They calmly tip their king over, offer a hand, and say, good game. They acknowledge their opponent's better strategy in that moment, and they reset the board to play again, now armed with new information. That's exactly what the tap is in BJJ. It's you knocking over your own king. It's an intelligent admission that you've been caught. It's a strategic move to concede the battle so you can come back smarter for the next one. The person who taps gets to play again in 30 seconds. The person who lets their ego get in the way has to sit out for 6 months with a reconstructed knee. Who's the smarter player? Who is actually learning and getting better? On top of that, the tap is the language of trust. It's how you tell your partner, I trust you to apply this right, and I trust you'll let go when I acknowledge it. In return, your partner's quick release says back, I trust you to protect yourself, and I respect your signal. This amazing unspoken dialogue is what allows 2 people to simulate a real fight in a way that makes both of them better and safer. The ego just screams over this dialogue, turning it into a monologue of self-destruction. At its core, tapping is an act of humility, and humility is the soil where all growth is planted. It's the honest admission that you don't have all the answers, that you have weak spots that need to be exposed, and that you're there to learn from every single person in the room, no matter their belt color. So, how do you start shutting down this dangerous opponent? It's not a one-and-done fight. It's a daily practice. First, set an intention before you train. Before you slap hands for your first roll, decide what your goal is. And that goal should never, ever be, don't tap. Instead, make it specific and about learning. Today, my goal is to work on my side control escapes. Today, I'm going to try that new sweep from class at least 3 times. Today, I'm going to let my partners start in a dominant position. When you set a learning goal, you create a new way to measure success. The tap is no longer a failure, it's just an expected part of the process. Second, get good at the early tap. Make a conscious choice to tap the second you feel a submission is on and you don't have a clear escape. Don't wait for discomfort to become pain. Don't try to weather the storm. The moment you know you're caught, tap. Tap firmly on your partner or the mat, or just say, tap. This builds the habit of putting safety before pride, and over time, it will feel less like giving up and more like hitting the reset button. Third, use gratitude as a weapon. After a roll where you got tapped, make it a point to thank your partner. Say, nice man, you really caught me with that. Or, thanks, I needed that. I have to work on my defense. This simple act does 2 things. It reinforces the cooperative spirit of training, and it starves your ego of the anger it feeds on. It swaps frustration for appreciation. Finally, always remember the principle of longevity. The ultimate goal isn't to be the best person in the room today. It's to still be on the mats 10, 20, or 30 years from now. Tapping is the single most important skill to guarantee that longevity. It's the tool that lets you show up tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. It ensures you can live to fight another day, not just in the gym, but in life. The toughest opponent you'll ever face isn't made of muscle and bone. It's the voice of your own pride. It's an opponent that will tell you surrender is shame, that winning matters more than learning, and that your body's limits should be ignored, not respected. But the beautiful thing about Jiu-Jitsu is that it gives you the perfect antidote. The mat is a place of truth, and the truth is, you will get caught. You will be put in bad spots. You will have to tap. The real victory isn't in avoiding the tap, but in embracing it as the most powerful tool for growth you have. Beating your ego by tapping is the only way to truly win. It's the moment you stop fighting yourself and finally start learning the art. What was the moment you realized your ego was holding you back on your martial arts journey? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this hit home for you, tap the like button, subscribe for more on the mindset behind martial arts, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Train smart, stay humble.